Hello, everyone out there. This is Mr. Dwyer here at Salesian, and you are listening to the Salesian Sports Broadcasting Podcast. This is our third one, as we said, and for those of you who have been listening to regularly, we are grateful for your audience, and for those who are joining us for the first time, we're grateful you're with us. We're here to talk everything that is Salesian sports and worldwide sports. Because of the weekend and the playoffs that have been going on in football, we'd like to start off by talking about some of the most surprising things. Tom Brady not being in the playoffs anymore, getting taken down by basically Henry, the running back of the Titans, and the fact that the Saints get another pass interference call that doesn't get called even with extra replay. So, things are going crazy. Things in the future are going to go crazy. The Bills and the Houstons went into extras, and who even knew the Bills were a New York team? I thought they were from Canada. And all of this is just going nuts. So let's go and discuss our opinions about this matter.
All right, so hey, this is Colin, and I'll start off first with the Texans-Bills game. Now, this game, the Bills were actually in 16-0, but then they ended up giving up 19 unanswered points, and the Texans were taking 19-16 lead. However, then, the Bills were trying to go for the field goal, but however, it went up horrendously for them, and they ended up getting sacked on back-to-back plays, which then led them to be forced to go for it on fourth down, and they didn't convert. The Texans could have easily have iced this game away, but instead they decided to also go for it on fourth down, which gave the Bills the ball back. The Bills were then able to kick a field goal and send it to overtime. And in overtime, it was really back and forth. Both the teams were not really able to score that well, but then, however, the Texans were able to win off an amazing play by Deshaun Watson. He was able to escape two Bills defenders and find a man downfield. This play went for about 40 yards, and that basically sealed the deal. Now, this is a very fun game to watch. It was not exactly the best football game to watch in terms of how it was played, but just overall, it was a very entertaining game. And now probably the most exciting, the most unexpected game of the whole entire playoffs, and maybe for the whole entire playoffs as a whole, will end up being this Titans-Patriots game. And Tom Brady finally lost in the wild card round. This is the first time the Patriots even played in this round since 2009. Crazy enough to think about that, but the reason why the Patriots mainly lost is to Derrick Henry, who was dominant in the backfield. Ryan Tannehill didn't really do that much, but he did enough for them to win, and honestly, that's all they're going to really need him to do from the rest of this point on. And a lot of people are asking what's going to happen now with Tom Brady. Some people thought that he was going to retire, but he turned that down. And now it just either seems like he's either going to stay in New England or maybe even go to another team. If you ask me, I think probably his best other destination will be the Los Angeles Chargers because, that's where he's from, that's where his family is, and I think that overall they have a pretty good roster. So I think that can maybe be a good thing for Brady. But my gut feeling is he probably stays in New England, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see for the offseason for that. Next up, another very surprising game were the Saints and the Vikings. Now, the Vikings actually ended up winning this game. They were the 6th seed, and they were very heavy underdogs in terms of winning this game. But Kirk Cousins finally showed up in a big moment. I think that's always been a narrative for him is that he never was able to come up in these big moments, but finally, Kirk Cousins did it. In overtime, he threw a beautiful deep ball to Adam Thielen, which ended up setting them up within the 5-yard line. And then, to seal the game on 3rd and goal, probably the best throw of Kirk Cousins' career, he threw a fade into the corner of the end zone to Kyle Rudolph. Now, Saints fans, though, were mad about this outcome because they thought that was offensive pass interference. I mean, I don't know if you could really call that back, though. I mean, the Vikings players are already celebrating on the field, and even if you think that was, I don't think that would have been a good thing to do because it would have just basically negated the whole entire celebration. I think that the Vikings deserve that win because for the Saints to even get themselves in that situation, I think is embarrassing because they were 13-3. They could have almost been the first team in the NFC if things played out differently in Week 17. So I think that for the Saints, I think you're definitely going to need to make some more adjustments because clearly the core you have here is not really working for whatever reason in the postseason. And then finally, the last game, we had the Seattle Seahawks versus the Philadelphia Eagles practice squad. And it got even worse for the Eagles, though, as Carson Wentz went out in the first quarter after suffering a blow to the head by Jadeveon Clowney. Now, if you ask me, I think this was a cheap shot, because, I think that if you have Wentz in that game, I think that the Eagles actually do win, as much as I hate to say it as a Giants fan, but I do think the Eagles do win that game, because Carson Wentz was having a pretty good stretch down late into the season, but obviously that wasn't the case, and Josh McCown came in. I have to give credit to him because he did the best that he could, but it just wasn't enough for the Seahawks. And really all it took was just DK Metcalf going off for the Seahawks. He had like 160 yards. And just overall, I think that the Seahawks were able to luckily escape that one. I think that was a game they might have lost if things went out differently for them. But overall, a very great week of football, great weekend of football. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens now in the divisional round.
I just want to talk about how the playoffs are getting so unpredictable lately. I don't think anybody thought the Titans or the Vikings were gonna come out on top during the playoffs. Especially like the way Derrick Henry performed during the Patriots game. That was a really great match. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen in the next divisional round. And against the Titans and the Ravens, I really don't know what's gonna happen because if the Titans play like they did against the Patriots, they actually might have a shot against the Ravens, and might even end up going to the Super Bowl. So I just want to see what's gonna happen next, and good luck to the Titans.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see the 49ers where they're at with good old Garoppolo. People really wanted to see Garoppolo versus Brady in the Super Bowl. But this really feels like a defensive-minded playoffs for the NFL. The Bills came in based on their defense primarily. Houston built up their defense throughout the year. I mean, they had the running game from Watson, of course, but it was primarily the defense that kept them in games. Baltimore has been playing this crazy offensive line, but their defense is stacked. The Green Bay Packers have surprisingly kept teams in check compared to last year where they were one of the worst defenses ever. I think Aaron Rodgers is definitely helping them out a ton, and they've been running the ball more. So this is going to be a completely interesting playoff picture. With that, we'll come back and talk more about the NFL and maybe even compare some of these quarterbacks. The MLB, still trades are going down. Just a few hours ago, we had a trade from the Reds to the Orioles. The White Sox are still picking people up. It's getting weird in the American League. National League hasn't picked up. We got our opinions based on that.
Hello, this is Chris. So we're going to talk about baseball. So yeah, like Mr. Dwyer said, Orioles signed former Cincinnati Red, former Detroit Tiger, Jose Iglesias to a 1-year deal. I like the deal for them. He's only getting paid $3 million a year. But I think he batted around 300 last year, a little over that. Really solid player for the Cincinnati Reds last year. And the Orioles are nowhere near a division title, especially not with this signing, but they can get maybe a small piece during the trade deadline. The White Sox. I believe the White Sox are the most surprising team this offseason, or the team that has improved the most. I think they have a shot to win that division. They have a big shot to win that division with the Indians trading Kluber away. I don't think that makes them a lot worse, but still, the Indians, they haven't been that great team that they were in 2016, 2017. The Minnesota Twins, they've made small little moves. They brought in Homer Bailey, Rich Hill, even though he's going to be out for most of the year. But and they have brought back most of their clutch hitters and pitchers. But I just think the White Sox have improved so much. They have so much young talent. They signed Yasmani Grandal, who's possibly a top 3 catcher in all baseball. They signed Dallas Keuchel, who's still a great pitcher. And I believe if he had a spring training, he would have been better with the Braves last year. They signed Steve Cishek, who's a solid reliever. They got bullpen help. They signed Edwin Encarnacion. Like, they're improving on all cylinders. The Mets signing Dylan Betances. I think that's an amazing move for the Mets. That is such a bounce-back bullpen. If all those guys bounce back, we're talking about one of the best bullpens in all of baseball. Edwin Diaz, we all know what he could do when he's healthy and when he's right. I mean, he had ERA around below 150 for the Mariners in 2018. Fantastic. He's getting kind of hated on by pretty much everybody now after joining the Mets. I mean, everyone's calling him Edluz Diaz. Everyone's hating on him. But we all know he's a great closer when he's right. He has a lot of upside. He's still fairly young as well. Jerry's Familia, we all know he had a terrible year last year, but I think he needs to stay healthy. And we know what he can be when he's right. And Dylan Betances is, I believe, a top 3 reliever in all of baseball when fully healthy. Was with the Yankees last year for one game. He was hurt for most of the year. Finally came back from his injury in September. Then after pitching one game, I think he tore his ACL, and then he was out for the rest of the season. So that's just such a bounce back bullpen. But if it all goes well, I think that's huge for the Mets because they have that great starting rotation. They could have a great bullpen next year. And really, I think they just got to focus on the offense. There are rumors about trading Jed Lowry, possibly packaging Dominic Smith in a potential deal. I don't know what we can get back for him. I would assume the Mets are still looking for a hitter, center fielder. There are rumors about Starling Marte, but I don't know. I really can't see the Mets going after Starling Marte. Also, the Mets are obviously in the National League. They don't have a designated hitter over there. That's kind of why they're not interested in a guy like Nick Castellanos, who I believe they should have been. But then again, they're looking for a great defensive outfielder who can also hit. Now, I'll tell you what. I like the Jake Marisnick move for the Mets because that's a under the radar move. And Jake Marisnick, I mean, not a very popular player, but if you watch him play, he plays a spectacular center field. I think one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball. And Carlos Beltran used to play for the Astros, I think for like a year in 2017. And he came out and said, look, if Marisnick would have gotten some more playing time, gotten a starting job, he could probably hit. He could probably be a better hitter, and he could probably thrive. With that, Los Angeles Dodgers still have not made any moves since the last podcast, since before Christmas. In fact, they've gotten worse. They lost Hyunjin Ryu, who I thought they should have been all out going out to sign, and he had an ERA around 2.30 last year. You take away 4 starts, and that he would have won the Cy Young. Fantastic season. He's going to the Blue Jays, and that rotation's looking like Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, and Julio Urias. So I mean, that's Buehler's great. I think he's people are predicting him to win Cy Young. Kershaw, still a really good pitcher, and the other 3 they still have a lot of potential, but losing Ryu, that's gonna hurt them a lot. Josh Donaldson's still out there. I believe the Dodgers should go get him. Also, and there's also rumors Lindor might stay in Cleveland. So really, I think there's 2 possibilities left for the Dodgers, and that's Nolan Arenado or Josh Donaldson. So I think they have to get either of them.
All right, my name is Matthew Ventura, and on the topic of the Mets, we're going to be talking about Tim Tebow and his future in the minor league organization with the Mets. As any Mets fan will know, right now he's in AAA, the 32-year-old former NFL quarterback, college superstar with the Gators. He's been struggling right now hitting-wise, but defensively we can see that he's a really good defender, and he's starting to pick it up with his defensive run saved. And in his AAA season right now with Syracuse, last season, he could do some improvement. Batted 163, 240 slugging, and he only played 77 games before he ended with a laceration in his left hand on July 21st. Now, as a Mets fan, you would think that this is a guy that has potential, but right now he's not really showing it facing this AAA pitching. Should the Mets give him a chance in the major leagues? I wouldn't think so yet, because right now the Mets have their own roster moves to deal with. J.D. Davis at third base. They also have veterans such as Jed Lowry, Jeff McNeil, an all-around utility player. And we also have problems in the outfield regarding Juan Lagares and Jake Marisnick, which is just signed. The Mets rotation, however, is starting to come together with signings of Rick Porcello and a few other bullpen arms, such as Michael Wacha. But depending on where to put them in the bullpen or in the starting rotation is a problem that Mets fans should really be worried about. As far as predictions on how they would do making the playoffs, we're not sure how that will go either. But we can tell very well that this team has a lot of potential, and if they're able to put the pieces together, it can be a very good team.
I think the Mets will be a wild card team this year. They have a really solid team, no doubt about it. And if their bullpen bounces back, they could be a really scary team and might even beat the Braves.
Yeah, so the comments I want to make about the Tebow part is that the Mets really want Tebow to be a pinch hitter for them. They really, really want him to step up as a use to get people into the stadium. I don't think they're trying to actually get him to become an all-star. Watching his minor league at-bats, he's changed up his at-bats a lot. He's basically the Cal Ripken of the minor leagues. He's trying to go and work with Daniel Murphy since they're good buddies and good Christian buddies. And he's trying to work on the curveball because the big problem is any type of slider curveball, he has a really tough time picking up and swinging just under it. He's hit a lot of ground balls. When he does hit it clean, he hits it really hard. Unfortunately, he doesn't hit it hard enough to where it's a homer. It's often a double, and when it's in that double range, the defense has been playing him really well in the outfield and kind of just getting those line drives, and it stinks. If his average would definitely be higher, probably in the 250s, if he had his timing down to hit it more in the gaps. He's pretty fast still, even at 32. And as was mentioned before, his defense is definitely comparable. His arm is great, and you expect that from his football years. I still love that they've been offering him jobs in the NFL, and he's been turning them down, and he's really sticking with this baseball. He wants it to work. And the Mets is an organization that will make his dream come true if they keep making really bad decisions, if they keep hiring people that the general manager right now choosing people he's worked with previously. If we keep seeing things like that, I'm a little scared that it'll affect their future. But the decisions that are being made across the league, I think there's stuff in the woodworks. I think there are teams out there that are waiting for big money. They're waiting for someone to give the okay on Lindor. I think they're waiting for the big market people, and we won't find out till close to spring training whether we get the okays on those or not. Now, the NHL has been doing well. The Islanders are good. The Devils started pretty darn bad and have been doing a lot better. The Rangers are comparable. They're there. Canada is doing what Canada usually does, and that's Toronto losing. So, we have our opinions, what's going on throughout the league.
Hi, it's Keith. We're here to talk about New York sport teams, except for the Sabres because they don't count, and we don't like them here. Anyway, the Islanders have hit a rough stretch as of late. There's something going on. I don't know if it's the system of play, their pregame routine, what's going on with them, but they've been constantly losing to bad teams. They took the Devils to OT, which 31st out of 31 pretty much. That's what you get with them. They lost to the Hawks by about 3 goals, but then they beat the Caps, who are the best team in the league. I don't understand what's going on there. I don't know if it's the defense, the offense. They're playing well as a team. I don't know if they're just playing down to their competition, which could be something. The Rangers, everybody's been making improvements, except for one guy, that's Jacob Trouba. I mean, the guy, they're giving him a lot of money. You just watch him. He doesn't look like he wants to be on the ice. You know, there's 2 guys in front of the net. He doesn't even pick up one of them. he doesn't. If he goes in for a pinch, he doesn't back check hard. He just doesn't look interested in being there. People are saying, "Oh, give him a year to adjust, give him a year to adjust." But after a while, you have to say, "Okay, this guy isn't doing anything for the team. What's wrong?" Maybe a healthy scratch one night will get him straight and say, "Okay, now you got to play hard every shift you're out there, or we're gonna do this again." But the only person that suffers is the only two things that are suffering now is the Rangers cap. They're gonna be well over, especially after the talent that needs contracts up this season and the next season. And then you also, the other person that suffers is fans. They want to go and they want to see the Rangers compete. And when you have one of your key defensive anchors not competing as hard as he should be, that causes the entire team to come downhill. The Devils are doing well. They're not playing exactly where people expected them to play before the season started, but they're making steps. Their problem is their defense is pretty poor. PK Subban washed up. I thought the trade was well. I thought, okay, he just had one bad season in Nashville. He's gonna, come back. He'll come back to form, but his plus minus is bad. His points are bad. Just he's was a great puck moving defenseman, and he's lost that touch.
Hi, it's Greg, and with the Devils, I think it's a hit or miss with them. It's just either they do good one night, or they even, heck with that, they might even do good period, then play horrible the next period, and be up by a 2-goal lead in the third, then blow it away with a couple seconds left. Thing is, they just don't know how to play defense. They don't know how to consistently keep the puck, keep it in, dump the puck, go in and get it. They lose the puck a lot when they're in the neutral zone. In the neutral zone, they have probably the most time on attack, but they barely take any shots because half the time when they do take a shot, it's either bad shots don't get blocked or they pass it too much and it gets tipped away. But big game tonight, New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils. And let's get our predictions for this one. I think the Devils are going to win this game because they've been playing great recently. They took the Islanders, the OT. They beat them the other night at the Coliseum. They beat the Bruins in a final shootout, and they lost to the Leafs 5-4 in OT. So I think this team might have what it takes to beat the Rangers.
Yeah, I could definitely see them beating the Rangers. I think it's just going to be a case of whoever wants it more today. So if the Rangers come out flat and Devils come out strong, it's going to be the Devils. Devils come out flat, it's going to be the Rangers. But I'm going to stick with the Devils. I think they're on a little bit of a hot streak. And the Rangers had a pretty big win against Colorado last night or 2 nights ago. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do, too. Their offense was really good. They helped out their goalie. They got a good amount of quote-unquote, run support. And, yeah.
It will be who wants it more tonight, the Battle of the Hudson. Sadly, though, tonight, Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt will be out for tonight, so we will not see the number 1 pick play the number 2 pick tonight, sadly. But I think we'll see another number 1 pick play great is Nico Hischier. This guy is vote Nico. He's been great. He plays great. He plays consistent. This guy knows how to play the puck, knows how to stick handle, knows how to shoot and score. He knows how to play. He scored a great goal against Matthew Barzal the other night. Took it in, went down low, forechecked, took it in, bodied off Matthew Barzal and took it to the B-hand and scored. Made the game 2-2. He's a good player. He's a consistent player. And he knows how to play hockey.
A little bit of news on the injury front. Shane Gostisbehere is going to be out 3 weeks with knee surgery. And the Flyers are he's going to be a big loss for them. Their defensive core is okay. They got Ivan Provorov, who's going to have to take a lot more load now. Carter Hart has been playing very well as well. But I think now that the Flyers were a team that, forever, they had always had great offense, always had great defense. They never had a really good goalie. And now they have a great goalie, and now everything around them is starting to burn pretty much. And it's going to be time for a retool or rebuild soon. Also, Logan Couture is going to miss some time. San Jose Sharks, that was a team that had a lot of hope coming into the season. Playoff contender team, that's what we thought. The only thing they're contending now is for draft lottery pretty much. That's just another setback, and we'll see if they can recover.
Yeah, with the Philadelphia Flyers, Carter Hart has not He's been playing great first half of the season, but second half of the season been playing horrible. The Flyers. He's been 2-9 and just have not been looking good at all. The Philadelphia Flyers, though, of course, the Flyers need to play nitty gritty hockey. It's always how they've been. They beat the Capitals, which was a great start on Wednesday night. They beat them 3-2. Played good. They had Kashani, who scored. Sadly, they lost him. And they play good hockey. They have to play defensive first always. Philadelphia's always a defensive team. They always have the physicality there. And also, they have to just score. And Claude Giroux has to step up big. He's the captain. He's always behind the shoulder of Crosby. He just got to show Philadelphia that he can play and he's the captain.
That's what's going on in hockey right now.
Another thing I want to bring up as Mr. Dwyer is about Subban and the reason I think he's doing poorly. Now, it may not be popular opinion, but I think he's had a really busy few weeks himself. I mean, the guy's getting married. I mean, he went and watched his fiancée get down on one knee and propose to him, and then he showed off his own glitter of his own ring. And, I think, when you're getting newly married, it's exhausting. There's a lot of stuff that gets involved, especially because his future wife takes a lot of the limelight. I don't know if people know about this former skier and her escapades with Tiger Woods that didn't go anywhere, but she likes the limelight. And I think Subban, being the quiet guy he was previously, he's now being put in this big limelight. Nashville helped him with that with the Stanley Cup, but I think this is a little different. I think it's kind of weird how he's getting more insight, more publicity from the fur coats he's wearing, from the hats he's displaying, and from his Instagram posts from the fiancé and such, and it's taken away from his defense on the ice. And I think, knowing the NHL, there's probably a few players out there talking smack to him about this type of stuff, and it's getting in his head because NHL players are tough. They'll play through anything, and Subban is a tough player. But because of this demasculization, some would argue, I think that's affecting his play. And when you're paying a guy that much money, and he's also taking that much attention as questioning after the game, before the game, it's affecting the team. So that I think that could be part of the reason. But that's just me having my own personal insight. I'm happy the guy's getting married. Happy with the guy's life. It's just everyone knows the drama of the media and whatnot within sports.
I would like to agree with Mr. Dwyer on that one because PK Subban, when he came to Jersey, it was all the hype. He brought his wife to the draft lotto, and everyone saw his wife there, and it was as glamorous on the red carpet in the draft lottery when they're having the draft party in Jersey. And also with PK Subban, he's at an all-time low season, all-time low in shots, all-time low in body checks. He just has not been good. He has shown some recent good talent when he played the Islanders at Nassau, getting the first goal with the slap shots. I haven't seen him taking a slap shot yet, not even a 1T. He's been trying to skate around guys, do little dekes that haven't been working for him. All he does is the body check, play the puck, play the point, get 1Ts and slappers on, and he scores. He's proven it. He did it against the Islanders at the Collie, and he did it against the Islanders in Newark. So I think if this guy just learns how to play consistent, just body check and shoot, he'll be good fit for Jersey.
Similar things happening to the New York Islanders' very own Anthony Beauvillier, which is kind of funny, and he's had a drop off in points too. Hasn't had a point in the last 4 games, or actually 5 games. So this is actually very, very great info that Mr. Dwyer has broken to us.
That's it. ESPN is going to contact us in the next few days to thank us for this insight. I can see the future. Speaking of the future, let's talk about the past. Let's talk about how the past has come to the future. And let's talk about Derek Jeter.
All right. So, in my opinion, Derek Jeter is one of my all-time favorite shortstops and probably the best one. And so if you go into the Yankees stats and you see career total hits and everything, there is two names that completely cover all of the different categories, and that's either Babe Ruth or Derek Jeter, except for one where it was Lou Gehrig. So now there is a man by the name of Garrison Lassiter. His minor league career ended in 2011, but he thinks it's a good idea 7 years later that he wants to sue the Yankees due to the fact that he never got to be in the major leagues because of Derek Jeter, because they kept him at shortstop. So now he wanted $34 million from the team. And he was even comparing himself, he was 30 years old, comparing himself to Los Angeles Dodgers star Corey Seager. And of course he lost the lawsuit. Then, not a few days later, now he's filing a lawsuit against the Cincinnati Reds for who knows why. But it's just, why do you have to be so petty? It's, you're bringing this up 7 years later, so it's not like you even cared about it for a while. B, honestly, Derek Jeter is better than he will ever be. It's just like, it's just so frustrating. Like, who cares anymore? That was years ago. Get over it. You ain't gonna get what you want. And he also is trying to seek pity because he says that because of the Yankees, he now sleeps in his car. Well, maybe for being such the scum that you are, maybe you deserve it.
A bit harsh, Albert. A bit, but
Point taken.
any man
I
who
rest
sleeps
my case.
any man who sleeps in a car and thanks the Yankees is usually a Boston Red Sox fan after a loss. So.
Exactly.
Speaking of the past and the future, the future is going to be unique for the Giants moving forward. And we have someone going to talk about this.
Hey everyone, this is Colin again. And following their Week 17 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants fired Pat Shermer, who was their head coach. Now, this followed actually a pretty brief coaching search, and who comes out of this as coach for the New York Giants? Joe Judge. Now, you may be wondering, like I was wondering as well, who in the world is Joe Judge? Well, Joe Judge served as both a special teams coordinator and wide receivers coach in New England, and as a special teams coordinator in Alabama. Now, when I first originally heard this news, I was not happy at all. Honestly, you could have told me that Aaron Judge himself was going to be could have been the head coach of the Giants. I would have been more happy with that. Now, what does this mean for the Giants going forward? Well, I think that one of the main important things the Giants have to look after is that I think that Joe Judge needs to help out Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going to be the future of this franchise, and I think that Joe Judge is going to play a large part in determining how his future is going to go. Originally, though, one of the reasons why I was concerned with this move when I first saw it is I thought the Giants were trying to trend chase. Now, what I mean by that is last year, a lot of teams were hiring a bunch of young, inexperienced coaches. The reason why this was because of the success Sean McVay had for the Los Angeles Rams. So when I first saw this, I was actually pretty scared that the Giants were trying to do the same thing as well. But one of the main things I picked up from reading about Joe Judge and reading more articles and stories is that Joe Judge is a very intense guy who likes to hold his players accountable. And if that's who he is, that's great because, that's the thing that the Giants have been missing for a while, especially with Ben McAdoo and Pat Shermer, who weren't exactly disciplinarians like Tom Coughlin was back in the day. So, if he can really get that message across, I think that'd be great for our team because I think that one of our main things is that we need to be more a physical team if we want to get back to where we were. And honestly, now I'm willing to give this a chance out. I hope that Joe Judge has the most success in New York, but I don't really necessarily still like the move, but hopefully that I'm just, for the future of this team, I hope that Joe Judge really can work out.
Agreed that a surprising pick, a young pick. I think a lot of coaches are starting to go young now throughout the league. But yeah, if he stays stern, I think that's going to help a lot. There's been a lot of cornerback issues with the Giants, and a lot of that is because they have been running wild during the off days, and a lot of people leaving because of that looseness and that idea that they are more competent than they probably are.
Just also one fact I want to throw in there, which I saw before. Joe Judge is currently 38 years old. That is, in fact, younger than Eli Manning. So that just goes to show how young of a hire this is and how interesting this will be for the Giants going forward.
And luckily, Mr. Awshucks himself is probably not going to be upset with that at all. And I really hope that they do something good with Eli, whether he stays on the team or goes somewhere else. I feel they may ship him off. If they do, there's a lot of teams that could really use him because he is brilliant. The Mannings in general are brilliant, the way that they see the field. When it comes to some of the errant throws that Eli's made, I get it. It's understandable. But there's a lot of throws he didn't make that could have been awful with his Derek Carr offensive line that he's dealt with over the past 3 years. And we've seen it because Dan Jones is going through it as well. Once they bolster up the offensive line and do something in the draft with that, maybe in free agency, we'll probably see a way better team. And the Jets next year, that's something we got to look to.
New York Jets have been just a weird season for the Jets. You know, you have high expectations, low expectations. You don't know what they're going to do. Opening day, they're up 16-0 and they're going into the fourth quarter against the Bills. A few guys got injured. They blew the game, and if they would have just made the field goal they missed earlier, they win that game. They lose 17-16. Sam Darnold has been up and down. He's played great games. He played horrible games. The week he played the Cowboys, he went from the AFC Player of the Week, then the next week to the Patriots, then the AFC Worst Player of the Week. He's been okay. Le'Veon Bell, no. He's not been well. He's not been able to make explosive runs like he's been in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh used to make 15, 20-yard runs, make plays happen. And with the Jets, he hasn't been making that happen. And also, with the Jets' defense, that's a great defense if they stay healthy. Their defense got injured the first week of football. They went 7-9. They beat the Cowboys, beat the Raiders, but somehow lost to two winless teams in the Cincinnati Bengals and the Miami Dolphins. Now, what if the Jets would have beaten the Bills first week, beaten the Dolphins, beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, beat the Bengals? You're looking at a 10-6 Jets team that could potentially make a wild card and make a run at it. They need wide receivers. We had a great core in 2015. I know that team was only a 1-2 year team. We had Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall. Great receivers to catch the ball and run for yards. They were great. And we also have a great tight end, Ryan Griffin. He showed up against the Dallas Cowboys and he played great. The receivers are Robbie Anderson either plays good or not. Quincy Nunez, he's okay. Robbie Anderson, we need a guy we need a Corey Corbett. We need a Wayne Corbett, my bad. Wayne Corbett type player. We need a guy who can get in the middle of the field, take a hit, and run that play again. Sam Darnold he doesn't have to make the long passes. I know opening drive against the Cowboys, he made a great 96-yard pass to Robbie Anderson. That's when you can make those plays when you have guys with speed who can beat the corner routes. Now, I know Dallas has had their problems, but they were okay. They were an okay team then. They just need to play good offense, play good defense, and this Jets team could possibly, if Brady plays the Patriots next season, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Jets beat the Patriots.
Continuing on this football discussion, playoffs coming up. We got Titans-Ravens. We got Vikings-49ers. We got Texans-Chiefs. And then Seahawks-Packers. Question is, hedge your bets. What do people in the room? What do you guys got? Who do you think's going to win amongst these games?
All right, I'll start off with the first game of the weekend, the Vikings and 49ers game. Now, most people did not expect at all the Vikings to be here at all. It's considering their great win against the Saints. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to keep this up against the 49ers. The Vikings have actually been pretty banged up going into this game, and the 49ers are at full strength and they've had the week of rest. Now, I know a lot of people are concerned with the 49ers due to their inexperience, but I still think that just overall talent-wise, they just are going to overpower the Vikings. And I see the 49ers at home pretty easily winning this game. Now, the next game will be the Titans and the Ravens. Now, the Titans, once again, another very surprised team coming off that win against the Patriots. But now, they're going to have to verse the best team in the AFC and the best team in the league this season, the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens win this one easily as well because although the Titans do have a good rushing attack, I feel that Baltimore does that better. With Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram coming out that backfield. I think that for Tennessee, in order to win this game, Ryan Tannehill is really going to need to throw the ball better than Lamar Jackson. Now, I'm not sure if he can do this because last game against the Patriots, he only really threw for like 72 yards. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see that out of Ryan Tannehill in this game, and that's why I think that Baltimore also wins at home. Now, on Sunday, we're going to have, to start off, we're going to have the Chiefs and the Texans, a matchup of two great young quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Now, I don't think the Texans should really be in this game at all, too, because the Bills are up 16-0, but the Texans are able to rally back. And I think that says a lot about this team, the fact that they don't really back down from when they're down. So I think that the Texans have potential to keep this game close or even win this game, but I just think that the Chiefs' high-powered offense is going to be able to overcome them. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill. I think they're going to do some damage against them. So I also have the Chiefs winning that game. Now, I think this is where it could get interesting. Packers versus Seahawks. Now, a matchup of two historically great quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. And I think that this game could really go either way. Now, the Packers' defense has been on and off at times. You never know what you're really going to get out of them. At times they've looked great. Other times they've been kind of shoddy. And overall, I think that Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are obviously going to elevate the play of their teams. So I think it's going to make for a great matchup. I think that one of the main concerns, though, for the Seahawks, they really don't have that much of a rushing attack. The Packers come in with Aaron Jones, who's actually been very good for them this season, but the Seahawks really have no one. They brought back beast mode, so I don't know if that's really going to work out well for them. But overall, just because of the holes on their team, I think that the Seahawks are going to end up losing this game. I like the Packers' odds in this game. Now, I know it's not that interesting going for most of the home teams to win, but I just think that these teams are significantly better than the other ones who they're playing. So I have in the NFC and AFC championship games, I see it being Ravens-Chiefs, and I see it being Packers-49ers.
With that Seahawk game, I gotta disagree with you on that. This Packers defense have been lately. The team they win games. The offense is there, just the defense. They're giving up points. They're letting games like earlier in the season when they played the Redskins. They won by a 5-point margin against the Redskins. You're thinking they're going to win by plus 30, plus 40. Lions Packers 1-point game, 23-22. I just think Russell Wilson, who's an MVP candidate, if there was not a Lamar Jackson, he's an MVP. I think he's an MVP, but with Lamar Jackson, you have to give it to Lamar Jackson. Russell Wilson, I think he can do this, and I think he'll make the right reads this time. He'll give the ball to Marshall on the 1 for the touchdown, not for interception on the goal line this time. So I think if they get to that scenario and they can do this, I think they can beat this Packers team. And Marshawn Lynch might have a heck of a game. And DK Metcalf has been playing great. Tyler Lockett, been good. I think this Seahawks team is going to have an upset at Lambeau.
Solid discussion on that. Really can't fight any of those opinions. But there is a couple opinions that need to come up and be discussed regarding the MLB and Josh Donaldson, possibly Lindor. Where do you think these guys are going? Hedge your bets. Do they stay or do they go?
All right, let's talk about Lindor for a little bit. I think Lindor's staying in Cleveland. Even before the Indians came out and said that they probably weren't going to trade him, which they did 2 days ago. They said he was going to most likely be their starting shortstop come opening day. I really didn't think he was going to get traded either way. The Dodgers, there were so many guys out there. I thought Garrett Cole was more important than a shortstop, and they didn't go nowhere near pulling the trigger for Garrett Cole. The Yankees just gave Garrett Cole more than what he wanted. I don't think the Dodgers came close to the Yankees offer. And they already have Corey Seager, who is, I believe, one of the best shortstops in baseball when healthy, and he's still really young. So I don't know why you're gonna. I understand you're in a win now mode, but I don't know why you're gonna give up these these really good prospects and young players. Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, Keibert Ruiz. I don't know why you're gonna do that. For a shortstop who, he's the best shortstop in baseball, but he can do much more than that. For example, I believe a Mookie Betts trade is more likely for the Dodgers. But the Red Sox, they're gonna ask for a lot. First of all, I think the Red Sox are gonna want to include David Price in that deal, which the Dodgers shouldn't be too ashamed of. They can deal with a contract like that, $31 million a year, and I mean they're kind of looking for rotation help, especially because if they make a trade for Mookie Betts and Price, they're gonna probably have to give up like Dustin May in that deal. They would also have to give up Gavin Lux, who they believe he's the real deal. People are expecting him to win the Rookie of the Year next year. And you also got Keibert Ruiz, the Red Sox, they're kind of looking for a catcher. I mean, they have Christian Vasquez, and they also signed Kevin Plawecki. But, I mean, that guy's going to one day, those guys are going to be washed one day. So I think Keibert Ruiz could be a starting catcher for the Red Sox. Now we got Josh Donaldson, who's a free agent, and I believe he's the best free agent on the market right now. Great defense, great hitting. I mean, this guy is an MVP caliber player, and he obviously won the MVP in 2015. Now, he's kind of forgotten about. A lot of people suggest that he's washed because of his 2018 season, but this guy has been a great player for a long time. He was great in Oakland when he was younger. Then he got traded to Toronto, and obviously he won the AL MVP over there in 2015. Was great in 2016, really good in 2017. Had that rough year in 2018 with the injuries, and overall just wasn't hitting. Then he got traded to the Indians, and wasn't amazing for them. Then the Braves take a flyer on him. Well, not really much of a flyer because they signed him to a 1-year, $23 million deal. But he had a really nice bounce back year for them. Big reason why they made it to why they won the division, why that offense was really scary. I mean, when you got Josh Donaldson coming out and saying that's an okay year for him, and despite batting .264 with I think around more than 30 home runs, like that's great. That's a really good year, and the fact that he thinks that's only okay. I mean, obviously he's gonna say that, but it just goes to show like that there's a big chance that it was really just that one injury in 2018 that kind of turned him down. Where's he going to end up? Well, the Rangers, I personally thought the Rangers were going to go get him, but they seem like they're exiting the race for him. The Minnesota Twins, I mean, they're not much of a money-spending team. They're not a big market team. They're looking for a guy like that, but then again, they have Miguel Sano, who they could move to first base, especially after losing C.J. Cron. I think they're still in on him. But the Braves, obviously, they would like to have him again. The Dodgers are exiting the race for him. I mentioned earlier that they should be going all out for him, but I think a Mookie Betts trade makes more sense for the Dodgers. I also, really quick, forgot to mention the Dodgers signed Jimmy Nelson to a 1-year deal, so that's a pretty good signing for them. But I think Josh Donaldson is going to the Washington Nationals. They're obviously looking for a guy to replace Anthony Rendon, and I mean, what better guy to choose to do that than Josh Donaldson? I mean, kind of an older version of Rendon. Obviously, Anthony Rendon's way better, but you're not gonna find a guy like Anthony Rendon for a long time. So I think Josh Donaldson, if you want to keep your winning ways, you want to have a chance to win that division. That's a really tough division. Especially with the Mets getting better bullpen-wise. Braves, making some moves. Phillies signing Wheeler and Gregorius. The Nationals have made a lot of moves like Will Harris, Starlin Castro, bringing back Daniel Hudson, bringing back Strasburg. But that would definitely be the icing on the cake if they get Josh Donaldson. And I think they have a big chance to make it back to the World Series.
Speaking with Francisco Lindor, I have a quick inside tip from a buddy of mine who I know that went to Puerto Rico this summer, and his family, who in Puerto Rico, knows the Lindor family, and he said to their family has told his friends that Francisco Lindor wants to be a Yankee. They told his family told my buddy's family that inside that he wants to be a Yankee. So you could never know that Yankees come out of this some way, somehow unquieted, get a trade or a play for Francisco Lindor. It may not work out because with Gleyber Torres at short and Miguel Andujar coming back, but it may. You never know with the Yankees. There was an inside tip. It may not happen or it may not. Who knows?
The Yankees will not get Lindor. There's no point in doing so. Like, first of all, they already have their infield set. They're probably gonna trade and do hard for some pitching, but that's it. Lindor's gonna stay with the Twins. I mean, the Indians, and ESPN just released that the Indians plan on keeping him, so that's a big indication. As for Josh Donaldson, I think the Braves will re-sign him. While the Nationals get Starlin Castro, if they're not going to use him, like, you already have Howie Kendrick playing second base. So, you have their infield ready then. Trey Turner at shortstop, Castro or Kendrick at third/second. And their first baseman, I'm not sure. I don't know their roster too well, but... Wait, who? Oh, Zimmerman, yeah. The veteran.
Matthew Ventura back on the mic again. And a key topic I want to point on is 5 teams that can make it or break it in 2020. Now, on this list, I truly think that the Milwaukee Brewers are a key team that this is literally their last year to make a legitimate playoff run. And now we can see that they've lost a lot of pieces over the years, the last 2 years. They lost Eric Thames this year recently, Mike Moustakas, Sogard, Avisel Garcia in their bullpen spots. And obviously they still have All-Star and MVP Christian Yelich, relatively young. But we can see that the gap is closing for them. And once again, they're not a very big market team. And because of this, they don't have enough money to spend getting superstars like the Yankees. Another team I want to talk about is the Cleveland Indians. Their gap, this is their final year. It doesn't take a genius to know that. Obviously, here we have the Corey Kluber's going to the Rangers now, so that's a big hit to their rotation. However, they still have Danny Salazar and Cookie Carrasco, but we can't bet that they're going to be at their A game once again as it was in 2016. And then obviously there's rumors about Lindor, where he might go, Yankees, Dodgers, we don't know. But their gap is for sure closing, and we can't even bet on their bullpen at this point. The New York Mets, that's a very tough topic. The fans have a lot of question on how Alonso can possibly top off this rookie year that he had. 52 home runs, rookie of the year. Just his year was insurmountable. You can't do much better as a rookie or even as a seasoned veteran at this point. But the Mets, they have a lot of roster moves to make. Veterans are in spots where rookies should be, and it's a whole mess in the roster for them, to be honest, at this point. We're not sure what to do with the outfield, what to do with the infield, where these new signings in the pen or the starting rotation should be. Obviously with Michael Wacha, Porcello. But we can see that the Mets, they need to start to figure things out with their roster, most importantly. And another team that I would like to mention on how their roster move should be is the San Diego Padres. And they traded for, when in 2014, they were such a contender with Matt Kemp, Justin Upton, Craig Kimbrell, but their organization just flopped completely when it came to their farm system. For example, they had Anthony Rizzo, but they traded in a dumb move for Andrew Kashner. Now he's an all-star in Chicago. But I say less, honestly, because that was a terrible deal. We see where Andrew Kashner is now on the Baltimore Orioles, a struggling team to get 60 wins. And the Philadelphia Phillies, an absolute bust for the 2019 season. They signed, in the offseason in 2019, we were thinking they signed Bryce Harper to a multi-million-dollar deal. This was the light at the end of the tunnel, but they just flopped completely in the end. What they do from here is very questionable, but management really needs to figure this out while they have Harper in this 13-year deal, because we know very well he's not going to be happy if he doesn't get a deal by the end of the year.
Oh, it's Albert again. And something that I mentioned earlier was Hector Rendon. Now he signed a one-year deal with the Diamondbacks. So the Diamondbacks, they made two moves, which was they got Rendon and Bumgarner. Then you have the Yankees, who made the one big move and got Garrett Cole. And then you have a team like the White Sox, who also got pretty much the same improvisation, but with a lot more players. Honestly, the White Sox signing everyone that they did just surprised me, because I didn't expect like half those people to be signing with the White Sox. Plus, I kind of feel like when we had Gio Gonzalez, we kind of missed out on his potential, because pretty much we had him to a minor league deal, and we had the opportunity to bring him up and put him as a full-time starter. But we just didn't put him on our starting rotation and we just didn't put him on starting rotation. And then once the date came that if we didn't move him up or not, he could opt out of his contract, we just released him. So I feel like that was in the smartest move on the Yankees, only because Gio Gonzalez is such a great player. He's been playing for many, many years, and he's also kind of young too. So I just feel like they wasted such amazing talent like Gio Gonzalez by just not bringing him up. So yeah, that wasn't the smartest move, but hey, now we got Garrett Cole. I guess I can't complain.
Yeah, I talked about the NL East a little bit. There's not much to talk about with the Yankees, honestly. Garrett Cole is the only move. They also brought back Brett Gardner, but there's not much to talk about with them. The NL East is looking really tough this year. It's really tough to make a prediction. Last year I had the Mets winning the division, and how did that come out? I mean, the Braves, but that just goes to show, because I personally, I didn't expect the Braves to be that good. I didn't expect the Braves to be as good as they were last year in the regular season. Obviously, they crumbled in the postseason. And then the Nationals made it to the wild card, and we saw they had that fantastic World Series run. Absolutely, extraordinary. But, I mean, I think the Mets, fixing that bullpen, adding Porcello, it's not enough. They have to do a bit more. I think they have a lot of bounce-back candidates. I think that bullpen's going to be better, which was a huge issue for them. The Nationals are getting a lot better. I'll tell you what, I don't think the Phillies are going to come anywhere near the division title. I don't like what the Phillies are doing with that team. They don't know how to build. They don't know how to build players. They don't know how to turn prospects into solidified stars. Name how many guys can you name that came from the Phillies minor league system and are thriving at the big league level? Right now I could really only think of one, and that's Aaron Nola. They also have Rhys Hoskins, but we see he always struggles. Scott Kingery's okay, but they rely on spending a ton of money, and that's not going to help you in the long run. Especially the fact that the only signing pitching wise that they made was getting Zach Wheeler, which I don't think that's good enough. I think Zach Wheeler is a great pitcher, but he's not an ace. Aaron Nola can't be trusted. He had a great 2018, but 2019 was not as good as 2019 wasn't as good as 2018. Zach Wheeler's okay. And then the rest, you got Arrieta, who's kind of washed. Zach Eflin, who isn't proven yet. And Nick Pivetta, who's also not really proven yet either. So I'm not liking the starting pitching. I'm not really liking the bullpen. Didi Gregorius is a nice signing, but, even with Didi having a great year, I mean, how much better is the team gonna get? So they have to make some more moves if they want to win a division. I just don't. I don't know what the Phillies are trying to do. Honestly, I really don't. I don't think that starting pitching is good enough to win a championship.
Well, I know someone who is well prepared and has a great opinion. We have a special guest today. Here to talk about the playoffs is Piro's Playoff Corner.
All right, NFL playoff predictions for this weekend. AFC games, 2 absolute blowouts. Titans will start off hot. Ravens will start off hot. But Tennessee, no shot at stopping Lamar Jackson. They could tie that man's shoes, and he's still going to run for 200 yards. Ravens looking like 35. Titans will say 13. They'll score a couple points, but not too much. Don't get excited down there in Nashville. Chiefs, forget it. Texans might as well not even show up. Mahomes will put up 40 points. He'll run all over the field, too. But you move over to the NFC, I think you're going to have a couple closer games. I think the Vikings might shock you a little bit. San Francisco, they're not as good as everyone thinks they are. They got off to a hot start, but their true colors showed once they started playing NFL teams. When they were playing JUCO teams, they were winning. But I think the Vikings might surprise you. Seahawks, Packers, Aaron Rodgers, who's been absolutely terrible this year when you look at his stats compared to previous years. I think he puts it together, but I think that's going to be another close game. I think overall 49ers will win, even though it's going to be an ugly game for both teams. It's not going to be as good as you guys think. And the Packers will end up winning it. That'll be a close game, 21-17.
There you have it. So, for those of you who do put your bets down, I would take a little bit of what we've had Colin say. I'd take a lot of what Piro has said, and I would not listen to anything I would say. So, with that, thank you all to have been listening to this stream. We are so sorry that there has been no NBA news of recent, aside from the fact that the Lakers keep winning and somehow LeBron's hair hasn't completely fallen off yet. I'm still shocked by that fact because he spent a lot of money on that. I love how it changes all the time, especially between his son's high school games and his own. It'll be awesome when one day he shows up and it's a completely different color. Yes, the Suns and Knicks, just expect the Knicks to continue doing poorly. Expect Porter to continue making stupid decisions and getting kicked out. Expect people who have a lot of potential to constantly run back and forth and watch Knox on the bench. And we'll wait another year. That's all we can say with the Knicks. We'll wait another year, and maybe we'll find someone just as tall as Nate Robinson out in the audience to go just fall against someone, get his 5 fouls, and move on. Maybe we'll find someone with the temper of Isaiah Thomas to get a technical in the first 4 minutes of the game and get thrown. Well, I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. Thank you all for listening. We'll hear from you. We'll see you next week. And till then, this is Sports Broadcasting.